Golden sand dunes stretched endlessly under the fading sun, their golden glow mingling with shades of red and orange. Shattered statues and half-buried palaces hinted at a kingdom lost to time. Through the sands, a lone figure walked, cloaked in tattered robes, carrying an ancient sorrow etched into every step. The wanderer paused briefly, picking up a broken crown and examining it before letting it fall silently back into the sand. Deep within the icy mountains of the north, a roaring forge cast fierce shadows on stone walls. Sparks flew as molten metal was shaped by the hammering blows of a powerful blacksmith, crafting a jagged crown symbolic of ruthless power. Warriors clad in steel marched into the swirling snow, swords clashing in battles driven by conquest and ambition. On a distant hill, the wanderer watched silently, unmoved yet burdened by the inevitability of human conflict. Night had fallen upon the vibrant city, illuminated by thousands of colorful lanterns hanging above bustling streets filled with laughter, music and whispers of hidden plots. Amid the revelry, secret alliances formed and betrayals brewed in shadows. The wanderer passed through the celebrations unnoticed, aware of the treachery hidden behind smiling faces and warm greetings. Smoke rose thickly over once lush lands, as fire consumed vast libraries and grand trees. Knowledge, collected painstakingly over generations, turned to ash and ruin. Scholars cried out helplessly amid the flames, clutching charred manuscripts. The wanderer stood amongst the ruins, holding a scorched scroll, mourning wisdom lost to reckless pride. Revolution erupted violently as crimson banners waved high over the gates of a palace besieged by desperate rebels. Amidst chaos and battle, cries, a fierce young woman leading the rebellion met the wanderer's gaze, acknowledging his quiet presence amid the turmoil. She recognized in him the unspoken weight of countless revolutions past. High atop mountain peaks, towering observatories reached skyward, man's aspiration to touch the heavens made tangible. Astronomers charted stars and dreams, launching balloons and crafting starships. But dreams shattered as quickly as they rose, vessels of ambition exploding mid-air, scattering sparks like mournful shooting stars. The wanderer observed the spectacle solemnly, aware of the limits mortals continually challenged. In the dense, suffocating jungles, an empire thrived on cruelty, fear and rituals drenched in blood. Priestly rulers commanded from bone thrones, wielding terror as governance. Unseen by them, the wanderer knelt beside a child crying in shadows, offering silent solace amidst horror. Stormy seas were ablaze with cannon fire, giant warships emblazoned, with dragon sails crashing violently against one another. Chaos reigned as commanders shouted orders lost in thunderous waves. Amidst the battle, the wanderer navigated calmly, gripping a broken compass symbolic of humanity's lost direction. Ethereal city lay silent, shimmering towers of glass and silver humming gently with forgotten technologies. Ghostly inhabitants wandered aimlessly, eyes glowing faintly with lost purpose. In the heart of this citadel, the wanderer approached an empty throne, occupied only by dust and bones, a grim reminder of the cost of unchecked advancement. Innately desolate, lifeless landscape battered by relentless storms, ruins of past greatness stood as broken reminders of human ambition. Amidst the devastation, the wanderer gently planted a small, fragile sapling into the dead earth. The storm stilled briefly, and rain began softly falling, nurturing hope within desolation. The wanderer lifted his eyes to the sky, ancient sorrow giving way to cautious hope, promising that from every ending, new beginnings inevitably emerge.
Before we begin, a quick message. Any digital copy of this content is piracy. Don't do it and stand against it. For new stories, subscribe to the Story Nexus at youtube.com passing to Real Story Nexus. Don't go to fake Nexus. Want to know about upcoming stories? Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description.
Under a blazing sun, the city of Solvaris rose proudly amid an ocean of golden dunes. Towers spiraled skyward, intricate carvings adorned sandstone palaces, and bustling markets overflowed with spices, silks, and precious stones. The empire thrived under the benevolent rule of King Azar, whose wisdom and fairness had long guided Solvaris into an era of unprecedented prosperity. Yet beneath the gilded surface, shadows stirred. The wanderer entered Solvaris unnoticed, drawn by the whispered tensions in its alleys and marketplaces. Cloaked and silent, he observed the uneasy peace, feeling the familiar pulse of impending chaos. Among the crowded streets, the wanderer befriended Nasira, a spirited merchant woman whose keen eyes sensed the same hidden turmoil. Nasira shared stories of growing unrest among commoners, burdened by heavy taxes and corrupt officials whispering poison into King Azar's ears. Even as lavish feasts were held in grand halls, anger simmered within the city's neglected quarters. One fateful evening, amidst celebrations marking King Azar's birthday, disaster struck. A powerful explosion tore through the heart of the royal palace, leaving the city stunned. Blame flew swiftly, accusations targeting rebels, traitors, and foreign spies alike. As chaos unraveled Solvaris, the wanderer sought the truth behind the attack, discovering a sinister conspiracy led by High Advisor Zamir, driven by greed and a thirst for absolute power. King Azar, betrayed and heartbroken, struggled to quell the violence that swept through his once peaceful kingdom. Nasira and the Wanderer rallied the people, exposing Zamir's treachery in a public confrontation that turned bloody. Battles erupted across Solvaris, turning streets and markets into war zones. The Wanderer watched, grief-stricken, as friends turned into foes, and the shining city descended into flames and ruin. Ultimately, Zamir fell, but too late. Solvaris was left devastated, its glory reduced to ashes, survivors scattering to the winds. Amid the ruins, the Wanderer stood beside Nasira, witnessing the final sunset over a broken kingdom. Before departing, the Wanderer handed Nasira a single, delicate flower, grown impossibly from scorched soil, a quiet symbol of hope. "Rebuild," he whispered gently. "Empires fall, yet from the ashes new stories rise." And with heavy footsteps, he left Solvaris behind, moving onward toward new realms and futures unseen. In lands frozen beneath an eternal winter, the empire of Voldheim rose stark and formidable, a realm where strength ruled and mercy was scarce. Great fortresses of stone and iron crowned the mountains, and armies of steel marched relentlessly across snowy plains. At the heart of this brutal empire was Emperor Hrothgar, a warrior king whose iron will and ruthless ambition had carved a vast dominion from ice and rock. The Wanderer arrived in Waldheim as a bitter storm howled, his cloak whipped violently by the frigid wind. Seeking shelter, he found refuge within a modest forge on the empire's outskirts, run by an old blacksmith named Eric and his apprentice, Freya. In the warmth of glowing coals, friendships were forged alongside blades as the Wanderer grew, fond of the young and spirited Freya, whose talents far surpassed her age. Yet peace was fleeting. Emperor Hrothgar, determined to expand his dominion, decreed a new brutal campaign. Young warriors, barely trained, were torn from their homes, including Freya's brother, Gunnar. The Wanderer, moved by Freya's grief, vowed to help find Gunnar and stop the needless bloodshed. Traveling with Freya, the Wanderer witnessed firsthand the Empire's cruelty. Villages razed, families torn apart, lives destroyed. Freya, determined and unyielding, became a symbol of quiet resistance, her defiance igniting sparks of rebellion among oppressed villagers. Their journey led them deep into Waldheim's heart, confronting Hrothgar at his icy stronghold. They discovered Gunnar alive but scarred by war, hardened into a ruthless commander loyal only to power. A fierce confrontation ensued, loyalty tested against family bonds. In the midst of battle, Freya faced her brother, pleading for him to see the truth of Waldheim's cruelty. Gunnar wavered, but tragedy struck when Emperor Hrothgar himself intervened, mortally wounding Gunnar in cold fury. In his final breath, Gunnar rejected Hrothgar, returning briefly to his sister's embrace. Driven by grief and anger, Freya confronted Hrothgar in a duel of steel and fire. The Wanderer, standing in silent support, watched as Freya claimed victory, shattering the tyrannical grip that held Waldheim captive. Yet victory was bittersweet. Waldheim, now leaderless and in chaos, faced uncertain futures. Freya stood amidst the aftermath, burdened yet hopeful, determined to rebuild with compassion rather than conquest. Before leaving, the Wanderer gifted Freya Gunnar's sword, now reforged into a symbol of resilience and justice. With a final, respectful nod, he set forth again into the endless storm, carrying with him the silent weight of witnessing history repeating in cycles of ambition, conflict, and renewal. Nestled along a glittering coastline, the city of Eloria shimmered under a perpetual twilight, illuminated by thousands of lanterns that turned night into a magical tapestry of color and light. Ships from every horizon docked at bustling harbors, unloading treasures and tales from distant lands. Beneath Eloria's vibrant facade, however, lay a web of intrigue and deception, meticulously woven by those craving power. The Wanderer arrived as the Lantern Festival began, the streets alive with celebration. Amidst jugglers, dancers, and storytellers, he caught glimpses of whispers exchanged furtively between cloaked figures, and shadowed alleys where secrets were bartered. Drawn by instinct, the Wanderer stepped quietly into the city's complexities. Here, he met Seraphina, a gifted dancer known as the Jewel of Eloria, whose grace and beauty captured the city's heart. Yet behind her enchanting performances lay a darker truth. Seraphina was trapped, controlled by powerful patrons using her talents for their own political maneuverings. As the festival progressed, the Wanderer discovered the deepening conflicts between rival merchant houses, each seeking dominance over Aloria's lucrative trade routes. House Varro and House Callis were locked in fierce competition, their rivalry escalating from economic disputes to clandestine assassinations. Together, Seraphina and the Wanderer navigated Aloria's hidden corridors of power, unveiling plots involving treacherous nobles, ambitious merchants, and corrupt city officials. Danger surrounded them at every turn, yet Seraphina found courage in the Wanderer's calm wisdom, beginning to dream of freedom for the first time. Events climaxed dramatically during the Lantern Festival's finale, when the city's elite gathered for a lavish celebration. Here, a plot orchestrated by House Varro threatened to plunge Aloria into open conflict, using her mesmerizing dance to distract and expose conspirators. Seraphina bravely revealed the treachery in a dazzling, unforgettable performance. Chaos erupted, but truth had already broken through deception's veil. Aloria's citizens, once oblivious, rallied against those who sought to exploit them. Seraphina, finally free from manipulative hands, stood proudly alongside the Wanderer as the city rejected tyranny and embraced a new beginning. In the festival's aftermath, the Wanderer, prepared to leave, content Aloria had found hope amid turmoil. Seraphina, empowered and resolute, gifted him a lantern, an enduring symbol of truth and illumination. "May its light guide your path," she whispered softly, knowing their paths might never cross again. With a gentle smile, the Wanderer accepted, her gift vanishing quietly into the night, the city of lanterns shimmering behind him, a beacon of rebirth and promise in a world filled with shadows. Verdantis, known far and wide as the Green Empire, was a realm celebrated for its vast forests, grand libraries, and relentless pursuit of knowledge. Scholars from distant lands traveled to Verdantis to exchange wisdom beneath towering trees and intricate arboretums. Ruled by the Council of Elders, the Empire prided itself on wisdom and balance, yet the Wanderer sensed imbalance and arrogance festering beneath this enlightened facade. He arrived quietly, walking shaded avenues under towering canopies drawn by subtle signs of discord hidden within the serene landscape. His presence went unnoticed among scholars and citizens, absorbed in their intellectual pursuits, oblivious to the creeping decay beneath their proud achievements. In a secluded grove, the Wanderer encountered Eleanor, a brilliant young scholar whose ideas challenged the rigid orthodoxy upheld by the elders. Eleanor's curiosity and courage impressed him, even as he recognized the dangerous path she walked. Her groundbreaking theories, viewed by elders as threats to their established truths, sparked controversy, making her both admired and reviled. When Eleanor uncovered knowledge that could change the very fabric of Verdantis' existence, revealing deep flaws in the Empire's ecological practices, her findings were brutally suppressed by Elder Morvain, the Council's most influential leader. Determined to silence dissent, Morvain falsely accused Eleanor of treachery and heresy, forcing her into hiding. Joining forces with Eleanor, the Wanderer delved deeper into the secrets of Verdantis, uncovering devastating truths about the Empire's reckless exploitation of natural resources to fuel its libraries and scholarly quests. Forests once thought eternal were withering, ecosystems collapsing under relentless extraction. Their efforts culminated in a desperate attempt to warn the Empire during the Festival of Enlightenment, Verdantis's greatest celebration. Despite their earnest pleas, Morvaine's authority silenced them publicly, branding them as traitors. Yet truth refused suppression. Disaster struck when decades of hidden ecological damage ignited an uncontrollable wildfire, consuming vast areas of Verdantis. Flames roared through ancient libraries and majestic forests alike, as scholars and citizens fled, helpless against nature's wrath unleashed by their own ignorance. Amid the chaos, Morvaine confronted his culpability, his power rendered meaningless by tragedy's magnitude. As Verdantis burned, the Wanderer guided Eleanor to safety, offering quiet solace amidst the loss. In the aftermath, survivors gathered amid scorched ruins, determined to rebuild with humility and reverence for nature. Eleanor emerged as a guiding voice, respected for her wisdom born from humility and hard-won lessons. Before departing, the Wanderer placed into Eleanor's hands a single seed, whispering gently, "From these ashes, wisdom must grow anew." Walking slowly from Verdantis, the Wanderer carried forward the burden of knowledge, aware that humanity's greatest strength was also its gravest risk. The kingdom of Varenthia, draped in opulence and shadowed by corruption, stood precariously on the edge of rebellion. Lavish palaces housed nobles indulging in endless revelry, indifferent to the struggles and suffering of the populace. Beneath their gilded halls, resentment simmered, waiting for a spark. The Wanderer entered Varenthia unnoticed amid the restless crowds, sensing tension woven into every whispered exchange. His travels soon led him to Ariana, a passionate young revolutionary, whose determination was as fiery as her red banner, symbolizing the Crimson Rebellion. Fiercely intelligent and driven by the desire for justice, Ariana sought nothing less than liberation for her oppressed people. Moved by her spirit, the Wanderer chose to support her cause quietly, guiding Ariana and her companions with wisdom, gained from witnessing countless uprisings. Together, they strategized and prepared, gathering allies from across Varenthia's disenfranchised regions. As the rebellion grew, tensions erupted into open conflict. Battles flared in city squares and countryside alike, turning the kingdom into a landscape scarred by war. Ariana, courageous and charismatic, rallied her forces, inspiring loyalty and bravery even in desperate times. Yet, internal struggles threatened the rebellion from within. Suspicion and mistrust brewed among Ariana's generals, each harboring their own ambitions. The Wanderer advised caution and unity, emphasizing the dangers of internal discord. The turning point came during a decisive siege at the capital city's gates. Amidst fierce fighting, Ariana faced betrayal from one of her closest advisors, whose hunger for power led to tragedy. The Wanderer intervened at a crucial moment, exposing the traitor and stabilizing morale just as victory seemed unattainable. With renewed resolve, Ariana led her forces forward, breaking the siege and storming the royal palace. The nobles, once powerful and arrogant, fled or surrendered, their reign shattered. Ariana stood triumphant yet somber, aware of the heavy costs paid for freedom. In the revolution's aftermath, Ariana assumed leadership, committed to rebuilding Varenthia with justice and equality at its foundation. The Wanderer watched with cautious optimism, knowing the delicate balance she must maintain. Before leaving Varenthia, he offered Ariana a simple yet profound reminder. Freedom is fragile. Protect it fiercely, but guard your heart against becoming that which you fought to overthrow. With this wisdom etched deeply within, Ariana bid farewell to her mysterious ally, ready to lead her people into a new dawn. The Wanderer moved on, carrying forward lessons learned from rebellion's fires, ever vigilant for echoes of history repeating itself. Perched among lofty mountains, the kingdom of Asteria aspired to touch the heavens themselves. Renowned for its scholars, dreamers, and philosophers, Asteria thrived under starlit skies, fueled by boundless curiosity and visionary aspirations. The kingdom's greatest ambition, a dream shared by all, was to transcend earthly boundaries and reach the stars. The Wanderer entered Asteria amid preparations for a groundbreaking celestial voyage. Massive observatories dominated mountain peaks, their telescopes capturing the universe's mysteries. Balloons and airships filled the skies, carrying eager explorers ever higher. Within this realm of dreamers, he met Kaelin, a gifted astronomer whose revolutionary theories drew both admiration and controversy. Kaelin's vision extended far beyond traditional thought, advocating that humanity was destined for celestial exploration. Intrigued by Kaelin's passion, the Wanderer accompanied him into Asteria's intellectual heart, where debates raged fiercely about the ethics and consequences of their starward ambitions. Among the skeptics was Lady Isadora, a cautious voice urging restraint, emphasizing the risks and moral implications of their unchecked aspirations. Tensions peaked as Asteria prepared its most ambitious endeavor yet, the Starfarer, a magnificent airship designed to pierce the heavens. Kaelin led the project enthusiastically, while Lady Isadora expressed dire warnings ignored by many. When launch day arrived, excitement pulsed through Asteria. Citizens gathered, hopeful eyes fixed skyward as the Starfarer ascended gracefully toward the stars. But celebration turned swiftly to horror as unforeseen flaws sent the airship spiraling out of control, exploding dramatically, scattering fiery debris across the heavens like tragic shooting stars. Amidst grief and shock, the Wanderer supported Kaelin, shattered by the catastrophic failure. Lady Isadora, despite her prior objections, rallied the grieving populace, guiding them through collective sorrow toward introspection and healing. Through tragedy, wisdom emerged. Asteria began re-evaluating its ambitious pursuits, blending dreams with caution, acknowledging that while the stars inspired humanity, understanding their own limits was equally vital. Before departing, the Wanderer gently reminded Kaelin of a truth hard-earned through loss. To dream boldly is humanity's great gift, but wisdom lies in knowing which dreams are meant to guide us and which are meant only to inspire. Leaving Asteria, the Wanderer journeyed onwards beneath the stars, ever mindful of dreams and their consequences, witnessing humanity's enduring struggle between ambition and humility. Hidden deep within tangled jungles and shrouded in mist lay the ominous Serpent's dominion, an empire ruled by fear, cruelty, and superstition. priestly monarchs governed from towering temples adorned with serpentine sculptures, their decrees enforced brutally upon the terrified populace. The wanderer ventured cautiously into this oppressive realm, sensing darkness far deeper than mere shadows cast by dense foliage. Arriving under cover of night, he moved through villages oppressed by terror, witnessing harsh rituals and ruthless decrees enforced mercilessly by priestly enforcers. In a small, forgotten village, he met Leora, a healer whose compassion and quiet courage stood starkly against the Dominion's cruelty. Leora's kindness, though secretly shared, risked severe punishment from the ruling priests, whose teachings declared suffering a sacred duty. Driven by a need to help the suffering, the Wanderer supported Leora's quiet rebellion. Together, they tended to the sick and wounded secretly, gradually inspiring hope and courage in villagers long resigned to oppression. Their clandestine acts drew attention, however, leading to a ruthless crackdown. Villagers were imprisoned, and Leora was captured and accused of heresy. Determined to save his friend, the Wanderer navigated the perilous politics of the Dominion's temple city, confronting High Priest Jakoth, whose cold eyes saw mercy as weakness. Through wit and wisdom, the Wanderer subtly exposed the Dominion's oppressive corruption, challenging the priest's moral authority before the gathered populace. Seeds of doubt began spreading, weakening Jakoth's hold. The Dominion unraveled violently, sparking fierce confrontations between loyalists and those seeking freedom. Amidst the turmoil, Leora stood firm, becoming a beacon of resilience. Her courage inspired others, igniting a rebellion fueled by compassion rather than vengeance. Ultimately, High Priest Jakoth faced defeat, his tyranny collapsing under the weight of collective resistance. Yet victory brought reflection rather than celebration. Leora, now a leader by necessity, vowed to guide her people away from fear and towards healing and understanding. Before departing, the Wanderer offered Leora quiet encouragement. Let compassion be your strength. Fear only reigns where hearts forget hope. As dawn broke over a newly liberated people, the Wanderer slipped quietly into the wilderness once more, carrying forward lessons learned from confronting humanity's darkest instincts and its greatest courage. Across vast, uncharted oceans, the Sea Lords ruled with might and cunning, their powerful navies commanding respect and fear in equal measure. Coastal cities lived and died by their whims, prosperity ebbing and flowing with the tides of naval supremacy. The Wanderer arrived amid rising tensions between two dominant sea powers, Admiral Thalor of the Eastern Fleet, a stern strategist famed for discipline and honor, and Admiral Kalis of the Western Armada, charismatic yet ruthless, renowned for daring tactics and relentless ambition. The seas trembled beneath their rivalry, a clash imminent and unavoidable. The Wanderer traveled quietly, navigating through ports filled with anxious whispers, wary merchants and townspeople fearful of the coming storm. In the bustling harbour city of Verhoeven, he encountered Marin, a talented young navigator caught between loyalty and conscience, serving reluctantly under Admiral Kalis. Drawn by Marin's internal struggle and honourable spirit, the Wanderer accompanied him aboard Kalis's flagship, the Crimson Wave. Witnessing firsthand Kalis's brutal strategies, Marin's growing doubt turned to defiance. Seeking guidance, Marin confided in the Wanderer, whose quiet wisdom became his anchor in uncertain waters. When war erupted violently at sea, thunderous battles turned serene oceans into chaos. Cannons roared, sails burned, and sailors perished beneath indifferent waves. Amidst turmoil, Marin confronted a pivotal choice: loyalty to his fleet or loyalty to justice. Guided by the Wanderer's gentle counsel, Marin acted courageously, sabotaging Kaelus's cruelest plans, risking his life to minimize unnecessary bloodshed. His bravery inspired others, subtly shifting the course of battles, tempering brutality with honor. Eventually, a decisive clash brought Thalor and Kaelus face to face in a storm-tossed confrontation of epic proportions. Marin's bold actions turned the tide, undermining Kaelus's ruthless strategies and granting Thalor victory. Yet, Thalor, humbled by the staggering cost of war, chose reconciliation over conquest, forging an unprecedented alliance to prevent further bloodshed. In victory's aftermath, Marin stood resolute, determined to rebuild honorably, guiding fellow sailors toward unity rather than division. Before leaving, the Wanderer offered Marin a broken compass recovered from battle, symbolizing humanity's need to navigate wisely through moral storms. "Choose your course carefully," the Wanderer advised softly. "The sea is vast, and direction matters as much as speed." With quiet gratitude, Marin accepted the gift, watching as the Wanderer departed silently across calm seas, moving onward, ever watchful of humanity's enduring struggles between ambition and compassion, war and peace. Hidden amidst misty valleys and towering peaks stood the silent citadel, a city of glass and silver, humming gently with long-forgotten technology. Once an empire renowned for unparalleled advancements in science and magic, it now lay mysteriously, dormant, its citizens existing in ghostly silence, their minds clouded, eyes vacant with forgotten purpose. The Wanderer approached this eerie utopia cautiously, drawn by its profound stillness and quiet sadness. As he walked streets that gleamed softly under a perpetual twilight, he encountered Aelin, a young woman whose eyes alone retained awareness, burdened by understanding amid collective oblivion. Aelin shared the tragic tale of the Citadel, revealing an ancient experiment intended to create eternal peace and prosperity. Instead, it trapped minds within a comfortable illusion, robbing them of ambition, creativity, and humanity itself. Aelin, somehow immune to the enchantment, yearned desperately to awaken her people. Moved by her plight, the Wanderer joined Aelin in seeking a solution hidden deep within the Citadel's core. Together, they navigated labyrinthine halls and intricate mechanisms, uncovering the Empire's past, its achievements, hubris, and tragic fall into eternal silence. Their journey revealed the truth. The Citadel's powerful device, once designed to safeguard knowledge and peace, now imprisoned its creators in a dreamlike state. To awaken them required dismantling the device, a choice fraught with uncertainty, as it risked losing centuries of stored wisdom. Aelin faced the decision bravely, weighing the comfort of endless peace against humanity's right to struggle, learn, and evolve. With the Wanderer's guidance, she chose freedom, activating a sequence that gently broke the enchantment. As citizens awoke, confusion and sorrow mingled with relief. The Wanderer watched quietly as they rediscovered emotions, ambitions and memories long suppressed. Aelin, though anxious, guided her people compassionately, teaching them anew to embrace life's complexities. Before departing, the Wanderer handed Aelin a fragment of the shattered core, glowing softly with residual power. Wisdom earned through struggle endures. Treasure it and let it guide your rebirth. With quiet reverence, Aelin accepted, watching thoughtfully as the Wanderer disappeared into misty mountains, leaving behind echoes of renewal in a world newly awakened. The world lay weary and wounded beneath endless skies of dust and ash. The last empire had crumbled, leaving scattered survivors clinging to memories of greatness, uncertain of what future remained. Once grand city stood hollow and abandoned, haunted by echoes of ambition and despair. Into this bleak landscape, the Wanderer walked slowly, each step heavy with the memories of countless civilizations risen and fallen. His journey led him to a small struggling community desperately striving to endure amidst ruin. Here he encountered Kieran, a humble leader driven by quiet resilience and an unyielding belief in renewal. Despite grim surroundings, Kieran's optimism was infectious, sparking tiny embers of hope within hearts long numbed by loss. The Wanderer, moved deeply, lent his support, guiding the community gently toward rebuilding. With wisdom gained through witnessing humanity's repeated cycles. Together, they faced challenges of scarcity, division, and despair. Kieran's gentle courage gradually unified fractured survivors, forging bonds of trust and cooperation where bitterness once reigned. The Wanderer watched approvingly, seeing familiar struggles tempered by newfound understanding. Yet the fragile peace was threatened when remnants of old power-hungry factions emerged, intent on reclaiming dominance. Kieran stood firm, refusing to abandon compassion even when facing hostility. With the Wanderer's guidance, he skillfully diffused tensions, turning adversaries into allies through empathy and shared purpose. The turning point came when Kieran and his community confronted their greatest test, a devastating storm threatening to extinguish their fragile existence entirely. Rallying courageously, they stood together against nature's fury, protecting one another fiercely. As the storm broke, revealing dawn's first gentle light, they emerged united and unbroken. Amid renewed hope, Kieran began planting seeds in the scarred earth, nurturing life with tender care. The Wanderer observed quietly, heartened by humanity's enduring strength in choosing hope over despair, rebuilding over surrender. Before departing, he shared with Kieran a simple truth, whispered gently, even the smallest ember, nurtured patiently, can reignite the greatest flame. Keep hope alive. With deep gratitude, Kieran embraced the wisdom, watching the Wanderer depart toward distant horizons, knowing their paths would never cross again yet, forever changed by his presence. And as the Wanderer vanished into the vast, uncertain world, carrying memories of empires lost and reborn, he understood humanity's eternal dance, between destruction and renewal, darkness and light, endlessly beautiful in its persistence.
And that's the end of today's story. But don't go anywhere because many more thrilling tales are coming your way. At the Story Nexus, we bring you the most exciting, mysterious, and unforgettable stories from around the world. If you love adventures, mysteries, and timeless legends, then hit that subscribe button now. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Join our growing community of story lovers. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What story should we tell next? Want updates on upcoming stories? Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description. Thank you for watching and see you soon for another amazing adventure only on the Story Nexus.